So the next talk is on Treasury system for cryptocurrencies. That's very important to have Treasury system. And it's been given by Bing-Chun Chung from Lancaster University, which is still in EU. And soon will be Brexit. Okay, please.
Thanks for the comprehensive introduction. Yeah, still in EU as of now. Today I will talk about Treasury system. I'm Bing-Chun from Lancaster University. This is a joint work with Roman from IOHK and my student Hamad. Is there something I can press? Oh. Okay, so what is a Treasury system? Maybe not all of you knows, but to answer this question, let me first ask you another question. How the cryptocurrency is funded? Who funds the cryptocurrency development? If you talk about the Bitcoin, it's just a white paper, it's just a protocol. And if you talk about the incentives, the block reward, they are giving to the miners. They are not giving to the developers. So how Bitcoin is developed? We have some sort of so-called patron organization. They live based on donation. And for example, for Bitcoin, is supported by Bitcoin Foundation. It's a non-profitable organization. They hire the developers, they hire the researchers, they rent those servers, they maintain the Bitcoin, they develop the software, they do the marketing, they do everything. But their money comes from the donation. And one day, if the money runs out, nobody develops the Bitcoin software or maintain the software anymore, and the Bitcoin dies. Okay? And alternatively, people are using ICO. It's controversial, but the result is the same because you have a fixed amount of money up to front, and you cannot predict in the future how long your company will run. And this is the problem. It's the lack of sustainability. And alternatively, people want to resolve, at least at the blockchain community, want to resolve this problem. So they proposed an alternative way to fund the cryptocurrencies. And usually it's known as a haircut or taxation of the block reward. So let's say Dash or Zcash, those are pioneers. So let's say instead of paying our developers just for the real cash, the fiat market cash, for example, for Bitcoin, shall we just pay the developers Bitcoin and we create from thin air? So every month when the developer wants to get payment, we just pay you the Bitcoin. Where it's coming from? It's coming from the Bitcoin itself. As far as the Bitcoin exists, you will always get the money. That's a nice proposal, okay? So the real question is, the second question is, who actually decide how the funds are located? And currently, the best practice is to hire an external committee of 4 or 5 people. They are all experts. Some of them from the company, some of them are outside from the academic, for example, from the university, and they decide what to do, how to use the money, etc. For example, nowadays, let's say more than 70% of the Bitcoin are mined by Chinese. They are using ASIC. Okay, then if someone in the community propose, let's switch to proof of stake because it's going to be the future, and the proof of work never going to work. It's not green, it's not sustainable, it's not using more energy than Ireland and New Zealand, maybe something like that. And okay, who suffers? So let's say at the end, all the Chinese ASIC stop being useful, and the coin will certainly become a hard fork. Okay. Let's say we also supposed to propose to adopt a cryptographic primitive, let's say a hash function. Maybe it's buggy, maybe it has fraud, but afterwards then we suffer, then whose fault is it? Is the blockchain community going to punish those experts or those decision makers? So the real question is who actually makes the decision? And here I want to give my favorite quote. If you think about the blockchain as a governance, we want the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And in terms of the blockchain, we are asking who are the people? That's a very important question, and it's very hard to answer. Because in this work, we think the stakeholders are the people. Yeah, of course. But how about the developers? How about the researchers? For example, I personally, if do not own any of the Bitcoin, but I contribute to the Bitcoin development. Can I say something about the Bitcoin? Yes, probably I can. But then how could I participate? Is my voice going to be counted? Is my voting power going to be counted? How much is going to be counted? I will leave this question to answer later. So what is a treasury? Let's go back. So a treasury is just a system that collects money and redistributes money to various projects. If you found, for example, NDSS, that's a proposal, and that's one project. And you may want to switch to proof of stake. You may hire some researchers. You may hire some developers. You may hire some marketing team. You may rent servers. Everything comes from the treasury. And what's the treasury resources? We are mimicking the real world. So in the real world, how do we get money? How our government get money? The first way is print money. For example, if we want to save Greece, we just ask Germany to print enough euros. So this is one way, print money, mint coin, and you can mint coin for the treasury, but it also comes with inflation. You should be used with caution. Another way, taxation, how the governance actually collect money through tax. So for the same for the Bitcoin. So, sorry, the same for the blockchain. So we actually collect, say, 10%, 20% from the block rewards. And after a certain period, we gather a lot of money, then we redistribute the money. And also, we can also take in donation. And that's very important because some of the system actually is really based on donation. Okay, go back to the question. We want the stakeholders to participate in the decision making, but we don't want, but not everybody actually knows the details. Not everybody is a crypto expert. So we don't want a cleaning lady to tell me which hash function should use, should not use, but they have the right to participate because they own the cryptocurrency. They are part of the community, and that's their right to participate. So the idea is to support so-called liquid democracy. What is it? Well, it may exist early in some sort of form, but it come to me as far as I know through this paper. It's a white paper by Branford. It's an unfinished paper. You can Google it online, and Branford also have another post about liquid democracy revisited. But anyway, so this paper has a section called implementation section, and as of today, more than, I don't know how many years, 16 years, it's still blank. So nobody implemented in a provable, secure way. There are some company actually does it, but mainly about the functionality. So what is liquid democracy? In the left side, we have direct democracy. If you have a small ballroom voting, just everybody directly vote for the issue, such as Brexit. Everybody vote yes or no directly. And or if you are big countries, then you are going to use a representative democracy. You are going to delegate your vote. You must delegate your vote to certain people and a fixed set of people, and they will vote on your behalf. And the liquid democracy is a hybrid of these two. So if you know the issue, for example, Brexit, you can directly vote. I'm not sure if there's some laser point. Oh, there is a laser point on my hand, but not there. Okay, so the lowest voter actually voted directly. And if you don't know the issue, you can delegate it to somebody you trust, anybody, and that body can even delegate further because even he does not know the issue. Why I'm using the Brexit as an example? Because the most frequent Googled question after Brexit referendum is what is EU? So if you don't know, you'd better to delegate it to some expert, okay? The system works for all possible blockchains, and we abstract them through coin system. We assume you have a payload which contains non-financial or non-transaction related data, then we can put some script in that. In general, a treasury system consists of iterative periodical treasury period, and one period could last for 1 month, a couple of weeks, or even a quarter. And it be divided into the pre-voting, voting, and post-voting epoch. I will talk talk about them one by one. So in the pre-voting epoch, the project will be proposed. It's open to anybody, even outside the community, but you have to pay a small fee to prevent the denial of service. And the voter registration, if you are a part of the community, you own certain stake of the blockchain, you can participate in the voting, and your voting power is directly related to your stake, and it's a linear relation. And you have to lock your stake, you have to deposit your stake. Why it's important? Because the resources means nothing. The resources and the time means something. So you cannot say at this snapshot you own 1 million Bitcoin. That for adversary it means nothing because the cost is so little. So we want the voter to actually hold the coin, to deposit their stake during the entire Treasury period, to own the value, to own the voting power. So we are calculating your amount of voting power as a function of the resources and the time. So if you want to be an expert, you want to be delegated, you can also give a fixed amount of deposit, but your voting power initially is 0. Your voting power based on your delegations. And your reward also based on your delegations. If nobody delegates to you, you get 0. That log is slightly different because if you misbehave, we want to punish you. But on the contrary, if you are a voter, if you do not participate, it's fine because the harm to the system, to the entire system is very limited. But if you are expert, a lot of people delegate their ballots or their voting power to you, and then later you say that you disappeared or you did not fulfill what you want to do, then there's a problem. So we need to punish you. And in the voting phase, we select the voting committee or election committee. If majority of them are honest, we get a privacy, we get termination. If all of them are malicious, it's still fine. We can guarantee the integrity of the result as known as end-to-end verifiability. They first, before the election, they jointly set up the key, and we use the key for the voting, for the ballot casting. So let's go to the ballot casting. Well, you may say, okay, wait a minute. You said you want delegation, you want liquid democracy. Where's the delegation why you start to vote the ballot? Well, this is actually a conceptual barrier. Nobody said you must first delegate, then vote. You can do it simultaneously. And in this work, actually, you vote your delegation. You are doing it together. For example, if I want to delegate it to you, I just vote. I want to vote exactly the same as what you did. You can do in this sort of way. And one possible implementation is through a vector, and we have a bunch of experts on the left, and we have a yes, no, abstain is your opinion about each project. And for each project, you can delegate to a separate expert. And you basically view them as a unit vector, and we provide a zero-knowledge proof that has a log n size, which is state-of-the-art and very efficient. It's not a generic proof, so it's faster than those bulletproof, etc. Tally, basically, the left-hand side is a delegation, and the right-hand side is your vote. And we first calculate the delegation, and we can see how each expert receives their delegation. And then we use their delegation to weight the expert ballot, and then we can calculate the final tally. Those experts will also be rewarded based on their delegations. At the end, you ask by the way, the entire Treasury process usually is happening on a side chain or off the chain. And at the end, you need to bring the result on chain by signing them, put it into the block, then you execute. The winning project will be funded. The voters, the expert will be rewarded. Voter will be rewarded based on their voting power, which is proportional to their stake. The expert will be rewarded based on their delegations, and the committee member will also be rewarded. And we are selecting the committee based on some random seed, so we call it a beacon. And if it's not provided by the underlying blockchain, then we want the voting committee to create a beacon for the next one. Here's an example. let's say the left column is the project, and this is the one treasury period, and we have a budget for 30K coins, and we rank the project. The project have their amount they require, and then we ask all the committee members to vote the project for yes, no, abstain, and then the project are ranked based on the amount of yes votes minus the amount of no vote. Basically, it's the net acceptance. And you rank them, and if they are more than a certain threshold, you start to shortlist them, and you start to fund them one by one. And in this picture, we are funding going, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, until the fifth one, and the financial crypto conference promotion, that one is not funded, the green line cut off, because at that moment we run out of the treasury money. This is the one way of doing it. It's not necessarily the only way, depending on the voting scheme you are going to use in your community, or in the blockchain community. Put everything together. What is a treasury system? You first collect the funds on the left side. You collect the funds over you either mint the coin, or you from the transaction fee, or the blockchain reward, or some donations. Then you use those funds and gather those people, the voters, the experts, participate in the voting, and a lot of projects are proposed. Some of them are successful, some of them are not, and this is the general picture. Okay, a couple of performance picture. This is the setup basically for the key. Roughly it grows quadratically, so in reality we're looking at less than 100 committee members to host the voting. This is the performance of our unit vector zero knowledge proofs. It grows logarithmically, very fast, state of the art. I have 3 minutes left. I have one more slide. So for the entire treasury, the entire treasury, of course, the communication grows along with the increase of the number of voters and the number of experts. But in general, if you are looking at 5,000 voters and 100 experts, the entire treasury would cost something like 45 megabytes in terms of the communication. Conclusion, takeaway is we need a treasury, or in my opinion, all the blockchain systems requires a treasury for the funding sustainability. And currently, the proposed system is adopted by Horizon, and it will be deployed on Cardano soon. And it supports liquid democracy. Future work to make it support the privacy-preserving version of the blockchain. Some blockchains are stake, you don't know how to do that. And we want to find better project ranking schemes. Current example is using what so-called fuzzy provincial voting scheme, which is currently using at the Dash governance system. Of course, we want to develop it to the governance system. And with that, I would conclude my talk. Thank you.
Questions, please.
Thanks.
Not yet. Questions?
Here, because the microphone doesn't work anymore.
That one.
And if that one doesn't work, we just
This
run
one?
around.
Yeah, this
Oh,
one
very
works.
good.
Yeah, it's not really maybe a question because I got the answer during the talk, but at the beginning you motivated your talk saying that experts who have no cryptocurrency want to make decisions, but it seems that in your systems, experts do have to log the money to be able to vote.
Yes, so the thing is expert, when, let's say, if I'm expert, I recommend something and something went wrong. And what do I lose? I do lose something. I lose reputation. But how to quantify it? It's a reputation system. Currently, this project is in collaboration with IOHK. Currently, the underlying blockchain do not have a reputation system. So that's why we have to punish the expert by real money. So ask the expert to deposit a certain amount of fixed fee. And if something went wrong maliciously, then we ask the expert to punishment or compensation. But in the future, experts do not require to use the money. They have their own reputation system.
But still, to be able to participate, you have to have some kind of identity, maybe in the form of address or something.
Yes, that's true. The reason is first we prevent for example, cyber attack. You cannot, everybody cannot claim they are expert. Then we don't know who is who. Second is these are real life projects. How to evaluate those projects? For example, if I say I'm going to develop a certain version, let's say Bitcoin version 2.0.1. And who is going to check, is this really happening? So we want real people to actually report to us. And the next month, we can pay monthly salary again, or monthly wage.
Okay, thank you. But as a researcher without cryptocurrency, in the current system, it doesn't seem that I have any way to say anything.
The researcher is the same. The researcher acts like an expert. So in current proposal, they need to deposit some money.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any question? No question? So I have a small question. Don't go. What is the compliance to law? Because you don't have a proper reputation system. Experts can lie. We know it from many cases. And since these treasuries are also used for money laundering, how do you quantify those things for compliance to law? Do you have any interdisciplinary research on that?
That's another topic. It's the blockchain regulation thing. It's a long story, but I would say it's not directly related.
Okay, we can do it offline. Thank you. Thank you very much. So let's thank him again.